Well, when I look around, I see quite a few people calling, and I'm going to call. Gosh, this is hard. All right. I call the honourable member Jacinda Ardern.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That became quite the bidding war in the end. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to clarify, Mr. Chairman, that as we're debating Part 3 of this bill, there seems to be a fundamental lack of understanding on the government benches that this overall bill extends the GCSB's powers to essentially spy on New Zealanders. And of course, that extends to the oversight then provisions that sit in Part 3. But overall, that is a fundamental change in the way that the GCSB operates in New Zealand. And to have that side of the House try and claim that that's not the case seems absolutely absurd. But, Mr. Chair, this is an incredibly short part of this bill, but an incredibly important part, because New Zealanders are seeking reassurances around the oversight of the GCSB, which will hold this grand extension of powers. And unfortunately, these oversight provisions are grossly inadequate, and if anything, I think would add to the nervousness of New Zealanders. And that was certainly the case, I think, at the public meeting last night, where these provisions were discussed at some length. But, Mr. Chair, I think it's helpful if we delve into perhaps the differences that you might see between the way that this committee operates, the Intelligence and Security Committee, operates versus any other committee that exists within a parliamentary context, and the transparency or lack of that applies across these committees, because that is essentially what Part 3 deals to. Well, firstly, this provision sets out that the Prime Minister is able to relinquish the chair of the committee when it discusses the performance of the agency. So this is meant to be the first element that's meant to give us great comfort that when we're looking at the performance of the GCSB, don't worry, the Prime Minister who's involved in the appointment of the head of the GCSB, who is the Minister in charge of the GCSB, will relinquish the seat. Let's be clear, it's the same, for instance, as if we had Paula Bennett sitting at the chair of the Social Services Select Committee that was about to review the Ministry of Social Development. It is an absolute shameful suggestion to imply that that somehow gives us any sense of comfort that that will be a transparent examination, because it essentially examines the Minister's own performance via the performance of their department. But don't worry, the Prime Minister will relinquish the chair and will hand the chair over to who? Well, potentially the Attorney-General or the Deputy Prime Minister. So again, to extend the example to another committee, it's the equivalent of Paula Bennett saying, don't worry, I won't review my own department. I'll get my associate to come in and review the department. What comfort can we take as New Zealanders with that level of transparency? Absolutely none, Mr. Chair, and that is why, again, I don't think New Zealanders can take any sense of security that these grand sweeping broadening of provisions will have the oversight, at the very least, the oversight that they deserve. It is our contention they shouldn't exist, however, at all. But then what's the second provision that's meant to give us comfort? Well, the committee will be required to table their reports to the House and make them publicly available. Now, the problem is, Mr. Chair, you only know what you know when you are a member of a select committee. I am only able to scrutinise the Ministry of Social Development to the degree that I understand what is happening within the Ministry of Social Development. That requires me to be able to extract information primarily through written questions, for example, perhaps the financial review process, asking the Minister directly questions. Now, what we've seen through the example laid out by my colleague Russell Norman is that we've got a case of the Prime Minister simply refusing to answer those questions, simply refusing to say, for instance, a pretty key piece of information around the revenue source and potential payments received by external sources to the GCSB. I would consider that to be much more fundamental than an operational issue. I would consider that to be an issue fundamentally of our national security. And yet that's something that we won't get any transparency around. So how can we have any degree of confidence that an annual report would require that kind of information? And the second point, and I'd love to hear from the Minister and the Chair on this issue, as a Member of Parliament, I can ask a Chief Executive directly through an Official Information Act for operational questions to be answered if the Minister refuses to answer them. Is it our expectation that we can seek that operational information, Mr. Chair?
Jami-Lee Ross.
I move that the question be now put.
Yeah, the question is that the question be now put. Those of that opinion will say aye. Contrary, no. Contrary, no. A point of order, the Honourable David Cunliffe.
Mr. Speaker, this is a bill of fundamental constitutional importance. Mr. Speaker, the House has only recently embarked on. Mr. Speaker, I do ask your consideration of this.
Well, the member is trifling with me, so he ought to be brief.
In no way, Mr. Speaker, would I trifle with the Chair or with yourself. Mr. Speaker, to my understanding, there have only been a limited number of speakers.
Well, let me clarify that. Please sit down. Let me clarify that. This is a part of 4 sections, 4 clauses. There have been 16 calls on this particular bill. I have been listening off air. There have been a number of closure motions. There's a degree of repetition. All of the measures which I say that the House can now determine whether it wants to continue or not have been met. So I'm putting the question.
Fresh point of order, Mr. Chair.
A fresh point of order.
Mr. Chairman, accepting everything that you've said, sir, I seek your guidance. In the situation where members of Parliament have only recently had the opportunity to come to the House, who have not had the opportunity to make a contribution on this part, and on this part, although it is, or the previous one, although it is a short part by number of clauses, it goes to the heart, sir, of the issues which are most controversial in this bill, which is the degree of the independence of the oversight and scrutiny of functions which it is accepted in many ways are important but which are highly controversial. So, Mr. Speaker, I would again submit, being one of those members who has not had an opportunity to speak to this part of the bill, and I know there are other colleagues here from around the House who are finding themselves because of other duties in the same situation, sir, that you would use your good judgment, sir, and your balance
and
to
that
reconsider
I have
the
done,
opportunity.
and I will now put the question. The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those of that opinion will say aye. Contrary, no. Party vote. The clerk will conduct a party vote.
New Zealand National.
59 in favour.
New Zealand Labour.
34 opposed.
Green Party.
14 opposed.
New Zealand First.
7 opposed.
Maori Party.
3 in favour.
Mana.
1 opposed.
Act New Zealand.
1 in favour.
United Future.
1 in favour.
Brendan Horan.
1 opposed.
The ayes are 64, the noes are 57. I will put the questions. And the first is the David Shearer amendment set out on SOP number 305. The question is that the David Shearer amendment be agreed to. Those of that opinion will say aye. Contrary, no. Noes have it, ayes. Party vote. The clerk will conduct a party vote.
New Zealand National.
59 opposed.
New Zealand Labour.
34 in favour.
Green Party.
14 in favour.
New Zealand First.
7 in favour.
Maori Party.
3 opposed.
Mana.
1 in favour.
Act New Zealand.
1 opposed.
United Future.
1 opposed.
Brendan Horan.
1 in favour.
Ayes 57, noes 64. The amendment is not agreed to. We move now to the amendment in the name of the Honourable Peter Dunn to clause 38, new clause 39AA and new clause 41 set out on SOP number 308. The question is that those amendments be agreed to. Those of that opinion will say aye. Contrary, no. The ayes have it. The next amendment is in the name of Brendan Horan. It's his typescript amendments to clause 38, inserting new section 61G to J. Question is that the Horan amendments be agreed to. Those of that opinion will say aye. Contrary, no. Noes have it. Party vote. The clerk will conduct the party vote.
New Zealand National.
59 opposed.
New Zealand Labour.
34 in favour.
Green Party.
14 in favour.
New Zealand First.
7 opposed.
Maori Party.
3 opposed.
Mana.
1 in favour.
Act New Zealand.
1 opposed.
United Future.
1 opposed.
Brendan Horan.
1 in favour.
The ayes are 50, the noes are 71. The amendment is not agreed to. We move now to Dr Russell Norman's amendments to clause 38 set out on SOP number 313. Question is that the Norman amendment be agreed to. Those of that opinion will say aye. Contrary, no. Noes have it, ayes have it. Party vote. The clerk will conduct a party vote.
New Zealand National. New Zealand Labour.
34 in favour.
Green Party.
14 in favour.
New Zealand First. Maori Party.
3 opposed.
Mana.
1 in favour.
Act New Zealand.
1 opposed.
United Future.
1 opposed.
Brendan Horan.
1 in favour.
Ayes are 57, noes are 64. The amendment is not agreed to. So the question now is that Part 3 as amended stand part. Those of that opinion will say aye. Contrary, no. The party vote? Right, the clerk will now conduct a party vote.
New Zealand National.
59 in favour.
New Zealand Labour.
34 votes opposed.
Green Party.
14 opposed.
New Zealand First.
7 opposed.
Maori Party.
3 opposed.
Mana.
1 opposed.
Act New Zealand.
1 in favour.
United Future.
1 in favour.
Brendan Horan.
1 opposed.
The ayes are 61, the noes are 60. Part 3 as amended will stand part. We move to the schedules. And the first question is that the Minister's amendments to insert new Schedule 1 and renumber Schedule 2 as set out on SOP number 306 be agreed to. Those of that opinion will say aye. Contrary, no. The ayes have it. Party vote. The clerk will conduct a party vote.
New Zealand National.
59 in favour.
New Zealand Labour.
34 votes opposed.
Green Party.
14 opposed.
New Zealand First.
7 opposed.
Maori Party.
3 opposed.
Mana.
1 opposed.
Act New Zealand.
1 in favour.
United Future.
1 in favour.
Brendan Horan.
1 opposed.
The ayes are 61, the noes are 60. The Minister's amendment will stand part. We come to the Russell Norman amendment to schedule set out on SOP number 310. The question is that the Dr Norman amendment be agreed to. Those of that opinion will say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. Aye. Noes have it. Aye. Party vote. The clerk will conduct a party vote.
New Zealand National.
59 opposed.
New Zealand Labour.
34 votes in favour.
Green Party.
14 in favour.
New Zealand First.
7 opposed.
Maori Party,
3 opposed.
Mana,
1 in favour.
Act New Zealand,
1 in favour.
United Future,
1 in favour.
Brendan Horan,
1 in favour.
Point of order. Is this in relation to the vote?
Yes. This
Yes,
is the
I'll hear it.
Russell-Norman amendment.
Yes.
I incorrectly cast votes in favour of our support partners in favour. They should be opposed.
So the number of...
The number of votes for the ACT Party should be 1 opposed. The number of votes for the United Future Party should be 1 opposed. The number of votes for the Māori Party should be 3 opposed.
Well, as the vote has not been declared, the clerk will correct and reschedule the numbers.
Thank you.
Recalculate the numbers. Recalculate, not reschedule. No, we're fine. That's Morris talking. So the ayes are 50 and the noes are 71. The amendment's not agreed to. The question now is that the schedule as amended stand part. Those of that opinion will say aye. Contrary, no. Ayes have it, noes have it. Party vote. The clerk will conduct the party vote.
New Zealand National,
59 opposed.
New Zealand Labour,
34 votes in favour. Opposed.
Green Party,
14 opposed.
New Zealand First,
7 opposed.
Maori Party,
3 opposed.
Mana,
1 opposed.
Act New Zealand,
1 in favour.
United Future,
1 in favour.
Brendan Horan,
1 opposed.
The ayes are 61, the noes are 60. The schedule as amended will stand part. Members, we come to clauses 1 and 2, and the question is that clauses 1 and 2 stand part. Grant Robertson.
Thank you, Mr Chair. I rise to speak on the title and commencement clauses, and in particular in this